camera. Ridiculous.
Huh.
Just have to, might as well take that camera off of there if it's not going to pull from it. Hold on just a second. I just want to see if it is plugged up. It's pulling it. It's just not. Matter. It won't matter. Well, might as well. We can throw it on the.
Yep.
Hello.
Welcome, everybody.
I hope that this December 8th, post D-Day and AEP, is treating you all very well.
Hope it finds you well.
Finding you
exhausted.
Well. So, Sid, will you go and share a link to this live stream in the Facebook group? Es perfecto. We're going to try to give it a few minutes to get some people on here so that we can have us a good chat. In the meantime, if you're watching, please in the chat tell us where you're watching from and how your AEP was.
Yeah.
How was AEP?
Roll the cart left of them. Center us up.
Go ahead and access that live chat and let us know.
That's good. Yes.
Yep. Go ahead and access the live chat and let us know, man. We just want to have a good discussion going about how AEP is doing, what you plan on doing with the rest of the year, what is possible for the rest of the year, what's possible going forward into the off season. Just want to make sure you guys are taking full advantage of all the opportunities that are coming.
Yep.
Hoping that you're not too burnt out, which can happen.
Can happen very easily.
Very, very easily.
You just need to continue the momentum that you have from AEP. Keep all that balled up. Keep it going into the next year. Don't let it slow you down through OEP. And just keep the ball rolling.
That's right. So, so what we're doing just going forward, we got Joshua Young's driving to Missouri through Kansas. AEP was fun. AEP was fun for some people. Johnny's behind the screen over here. I think AEP was fun for him. He started getting lazy towards the end. Let me just tell you.
He put it on cruise control for sure.
He definitely, you could just tell, like, as past like 5 days, he's just been kind of like, oh man, I'll write what I want to write.
Week and a half.
Probably about a week and a half. Yeah. Sorry. Hitting the bowl a little more. All right. Mr. Jones says Omaha, Nebraska. Decent 65 MAPDs, already thinking about ways to step my game up for the next year. Absolutely. So
65 is not a bad number.
We're already getting notifications that there's some FEMA SEPs continuing to the end of the year. Of course, we learned and we talked the other day about the other credible coverage SEP for veterans or people who have other credible coverage. It's pretty much a year-round option to look at. Also, something that we've noticed is there are a ton of, there's a ton of people that act like without AEP that business just halts, and they try to treat this as seasonal employment. I can tell you guys, like Josh Young's, I think he wrote me that he finished with 550 applications, something like 500, and I don't want to butcher the number. He could put it in the chat, but it was like 500, and it was 500 plus applications. You don't write that many applications when you're in it seasonally or doing it part-time.
No.
You have to really go. I mean, Johnny, I think, finished with like 400 applications, 450, something like that.
That's a constant building of knowledge, stuff in the pipeline year round to be able to produce that number.
557. So, we've had guys that have finished, in the 500s before. I think most of our guys in our core office were in like the 400 range this year, 450. but you can't have a pipeline. You can't do that without an extremely full pipeline. So first thing, like you're thinking about, what am I going to do the rest of the year? Think about next AEP and making sure that your pipeline's full. I think Johnny started AEP with like 150 activities.
Ready to go. People that he'd already identified as AEP prospects are people that he could only help during AEP. It was going to be the time that they needed to get a Medicare Advantage plan or at least consider it.
Yeah. So and when we say activities, that's like in our CRM, he's scheduled out these activities for a date of October 1, October 15th and on, already having that. That's not including any marketing that he does for AEP or that we do for him or that we do for our team. They already have all these activities scheduled. And I think
people we had talked to all year, and I tried to drive that home to the agents how important it was going to be. And Johnny was one of the ones that took, I think, the most advantage of that. And he listened. He understood because he start June of last year, I think Johnny started. And so by the time he got to AEP, he kind of understood that, okay, last AEP was really slow because I didn't have that full year coming into it. And so if you have the full year coming into it, you need to take advantage of that. Track every conversation that you have with every client because there's no way you can remember it. So track it in any system, a CRM, your notes on your iPhone, or some people I know save contacts and write notes in their contacts. However, whatever it takes for you to track that.
Yeah. Before we had a CRM, man, I had an iPhone 4 when I started, and I had iCal up, and I would put I'm telling you guys, I'd talk to somebody and their wife was 62. I would go and put a notification 4 or 5 months, like put a calendar event 5 months before. I still have, now that I'm not even writing anymore, these calendar events that come up. It says Julie Jones, and it has her phone number. It says turning 65 in 6 months. I still have those pop
from
up
5 and 6 years ago.
From 5 and 6 years ago, because I'd put that out there. And so it wasn't a CRM, but you don't even necessarily have to have a CRM to keep something, to remind you.
Your contact list is your CRM. That's your customer relationship manager. How are you managing? Whatever system or process you use to manage it, that is your CRM. How are you managing your customers? How are you remembering to contact them? How are you remembering what plan they're on? How are you remembering their birth dates?
Yeah.
Things like that.
And I can't remember who we were talking to the other day, but I was talking to somebody about people trying to separate business and personal life. They're like, "Oh, I don't put client phone numbers in my phone. I don't want all those calls all the time." Okay, that's fine. But if you complain to me that you don't have enough business, you're an idiot, because until you have so much like now I do have RoboKiller on my phone, and I'm starting to try to kill a lot of these calls and screen them. But we have a whole team of people that are writing the business now. When I started off, I mean, I was putting their numbers in my phone. I was putting, I'd use, you go into contacts, you could put all kinds of stuff on there.
Yeah. Well, and that's, if you're an agency or, you're growing, there's multiple agents in one office, then I think it's, really necessary to be using a system like that. When you're a one-man show, you just got to do whatever it takes. So,
yeah. And of course, using a CRM like Go Guru or any of the other ones out there help with like automation, when you can automate out responses and things like that. But some people, man, they use the idea that they have to have that to function and
won't produce at all unless this system is in place.
Yeah, I've had people that I remember getting on when we started Medicare Monsters with Beish. We had people that join, and every call I started asking people, where they're at, what are you at, what are you doing? I'd have some people every time say the same thing. Oh, I'm just still, building out my website. I'm building out my automations.
In the middle of AEP?
Yeah. I mean, and I'm like,
there's a better time for that.
People saying that every week after week after week. And I'm like, well, get with it, brother. Or, but if you're not writing business, like we didn't really start building out automations until we weren't having to write business because we had this other stuff.
Well, the question is, what makes you money?
Yeah.
Is
writing
building that website making you money? No, it may help you make money over the long term, but is it immediately making me money? Is it an IPA? Is it an income producing activity? Mm-hmm. Is this going to directly result in income being given to me?
Absolutely. So yeah, Joshua Young says circle back for hospital indemnity plans and annuity opportunities is what I do for the rest of December. It's a great idea. A lot of times you're doing such high volume in AEP and you're talking to so many people, it can be difficult to get all the cross sells out of it. especially, when you're doing Medicare Advantage and maybe you're not doing annuity in life, you can circle back to do service work on them and say, hey, we're just calling to make sure you got your card. Oh, you didn't? Well, it's coming. It should be there in the next couple of weeks. By the way, just wanted you to know that we do help with life insurance and annuities. An annuity is a way that you can get your 401k into a vehicle that doesn't have the volatility that the market does. Is that something you're interested in? Do you have? Those are types of things that you can, throw out there, and you don't even have to be super salesy. If you just call back all of them, you're going to have higher retention because you just called all your clients. B, you're going to uncover some cross sell opportunities just by asking the question. You don't even have to be that great at it. Angela up here said she's in South Haven, Mississippi, and she is. This was not an AEP to be repeated. Well, I know what you mean because we were talking to you, and I know you guys did a lot of business, and you've worked really, really hard, and we're proud of you up there. So keep it up. Let's go through this one, get strong, and by next AEP, you guys will be stronger than ever. So
yeah, the experience is going to pay off for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So, so other opportunities going forward that we wanted to talk about is
you titled the stream AEP's over. Now what?
Yeah, now what?
Now what? What do we do next?
So,
December 7th here. We just stop, right? Kick our feet up.
So if you're watching,
go to the beach.
And by the way, if you're watching, please like and subscribe to the channel. It will not let you comment unless you're subscribed for a minute or so. So go ahead and subscribe if you want to write a comment. But I would love to see in comments how many of you plan on taking a vacation? Because I see that a lot
in December.
In December,
okay.
I see a lot of people that take vacations in December. Unfortunately, I've seen some people that want to take a big vacation, completely unplug, going through Christmas and into the new year a little bit. And one thing that gets them into trouble is typically there's a lot of service work post AEP and going into the new year because you just wrote all these plans and these people have questions.
You know who the worst ones are?
Who?
Local broker managers.
Yeah, local broker managers love to take, and that's when you need them the most. Like all of AEP, like I didn't need you that much. Now I got some service issues. Can you help me with it? I'm on vacation, and they're great at setting up auto replies for sure.
I think it's a requirement that they have their email responder.
Yeah. I have my auto responder that tells me, hey, reach out to this person. You reach out to that person, they're on vacation too. Jason Denniston says, got a family vacay for a week. Okay, 1 week right here before the end. You might be okay doing that. You got to make some calls while you're on vacation, though, right? It's a good thing about doing what we do. We can work remotely. No vacation here. 5-star D-SNP here with 7 appointments coming up. That's nice. Yeah, 5-star D-SNP. I don't know if we have anything.
We don't have a 5-star. We just got one in Alabama. Alabama has a 5-star plan now.
It's a 5-star D-SNP?
No, it's a UHC HMO.
I don't know a lot of 5-star D-SNPs. So it depends on what area it's in. Let us know what area you're in there. I'm curious where that's at. So also going forward, a lot of people, the turning 65 business for a 1/1 effective date is super high. Okay. Turning 65 business for 1/1 effective date is super high. Why is that? A lot of people retire on the calendar year change. And so we see a lot of Part B open enrollment. A lot of people that have delayed their Part B until January 1st, even though maybe their birthday was back in June. So definitely want to make sure that you're looking at Part B open enrollment opportunities. So going up here, we see UHC Massachusetts 5-star D-SNP. Cool. Massachusetts. Hey, you need to hit us up because we don't have a lot of people to refer to in Massachusetts, and it's one of the states I have zero interest right now in getting licensed in. So, Jason, year-round D-SNP enrollment. Wow, yeah, exactly.
That's the case all the time with LIS.
So,
all D-SNPs are year-round enrollment periods.
Well, it's once per quarter, but if you get 5-star,
you can change.
Is it every month?
Every month, yeah.
So that increases it. It used to be every month, and then they reduced the LIS SEP.
And then I believe in the fourth quarter, it's AEP rules even for the 5-star. I could be wrong.
Probably is. Well, she made it sound like 7 appointments coming up here. So, AEP's over, so we go back to regular SEP rules for the remainder of December.
Yep.
So I'm bilingual Spanish and English. I'd love to help hit. Yes, definitely let us know how we can send some people to you when they come up. Mallory Cooley. I don't know Mallory Cooley. I know Mallory Rains. Contracting queens think y'all sound wonderful. Best guys in the industry right here. Yeah,
Thank you.
we agree. We agree.
Agree with that.
We agree with that. Angela, oh, we killed it under our circumstances. Super proud of our team here. 5th AEP and their first AEP. Yep, you did it. You guys did awesome. Kaiser has a 5-star DSNP in Colorado. Cool. Well, another thing, besides the uptick in turning 65 business is considering focusing on turning 65 year round. And so one thing I've heard from people before is that turning 65 people are the highest targeted, which I don't necessarily agree with. I think probably if you look at direct mail, it's definitely not. But it is in some other ways, like with seminars and maybe telemarketing. However, they've never been marketed to for Medicare, like super marketed to directly until they got into that window. And so Med Sup guys, let me tell you this, Med Sup guys are marketing to them 6 months out to get those.
I had somebody tell me 7 months out.
Yeah, even 7. So they can get them in the pipeline 7 months out, talk to them, coach them, and then, say, hey, we're going to call you back for follow-up when you're 6 months out, get that Med Sup. They're doing that because that's what it takes to get in front of these people to beat people to it. And so it is a longer pipeline that way, but less competition to do it that way. So a lot of the webinars are going 7 months out.
Yeah. I mean, people turning 65 I think they're getting a lot. They're getting a lot of advertisements thrown at them. If you can be one of the first ones to get it in their face, I think that does benefit you.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I think it's a compounding advertisement. So like, what I mean is, by getting, like, when you look at direct mail, there's 2 different types of direct mail. There's a direct mail card that asks them to call you. They get a lot of that when they're turning 65, a ton. Then there's the LIS style direct mail or business reply cards. Typically, I don't think that those go to T65 as much as just 67 plus.
Yeah. I would say there's more. Yeah. Just direct mail with call to action on there, call this number, reach out to us.
So anything you can do to stand out with those T65s, a big postcard that says call us with, carrier logos all over it. They're getting a lot of those. How can you stand out and do a little better than that? So think about that. Joe Campert says Steven Martinez is hot.
I'll take both of them.
Take both. We have a sensitive button over here. When we try to hit the clap, it sometimes throws the bomb too. So clap and a bomb. Joe, man, what does it do? Jason says, I know an agency in Arizona who's sending 60 months out for T65. 60 months? I don't know about that. I don't know. I mean,
that's a long-term play for sure.
Is that 5 years?
Yeah,
that's 5 years. I don't know about that. Maybe they're writing some under 65 health insurance business off of them. Another way to get in the pipeline, bringing up another point. A lot of people for years have been saying, don't write under 65 health. It doesn't pay, whatever. If you go under 65 health, you can really build a great Medicare pipeline. And it does pay well. Even if you just write ACA plans,
and the opportunity is bigger this year.
It's a huge opportunity
because typically in years past, you would have went through all of AEP, not really focused any time on ACA enrollment. So from November 1st to December 7th, you're kind of putting that on the back burner and you'd have 8 days to collect all that business.
Yeah.
Well, now you've got until January 15th. It's almost like you have the whole open enrollment period. You have a whole month and a half like you would have had any year before.
Right.
So you already have a health license.
Yeah.
Why not capitalize on it and make the most out of it?
Yep. Yeah. ACA, short-term medical, ancillary health in that group, and then cross-selling life and annuities from them too. Let me tell you, a lot of our annuity business has come from doing health insurance for 62-year-olds. A lot of these people are rolling their 401k over at 62. They really should not wait until they're officially retiring to do something with those assets, because you should be starting to hedge some of it out of the market a long time before you actually need it.
And I just see a lot of Medicare agents say, I don't want to focus on that. You already understand it. it's not very. It's health insurance. It's co-insurance, premiums, deductibles,
Yeah.
max out of pockets. You already understand all of it. It's
Yep.
just a little bit different
Pretend for a
structure.
minute that an ACA plan is just a Medicare Advantage plan that you have to understand, and then look at it and be like, oh, that's a weird Medicare Advantage plan.
Yep.
Okay, you can understand a weird Medicare Advantage plan, right? You got a deductible, you have co-insurance, you have a max amount of
And
pocket.
most of the people are going to get a large subsidy where their cost is next to nothing, zero, or under $100.
You know how easy it is to cross sell when somebody gets a $12 premium. So, and you can cover, their exposure to deductibles and different things. So, great market. So Cedric Lee says the long game. Yeah. A 5-year Medicare, I would say if you're looking to get them in your books 5 years out, absolutely target them for health insurance, life insurance, something else, and then drip on them over time. Just marketing Medicare 5 years out, maybe I'll eat my words at some point, but I'm gonna say that's not an effective strategy.
Dang, that was my game plan first quarter.
That's what we're just gonna start doing. You better have something else going on for a while. So, hey guys, can you talk about the Medicare hype house? Well, that's on the back burner.
Johnny's been throwing it out there. He's been
throwing out the Medicare hype.
He wants a prodigy to come out here and spend months with him.
Yeah.
Who is going to be that person?
Who's going to be the Medicare hype house? They have multiple lines, but they send a postcard to get in their mind. Yeah. Okay. All right. Jason, you keep us abreast of the progress of that strategy. Medicare hype house was actually a concept we came up with a few years ago where, I have some rental properties. And so I had thought about taking one of those rental properties and bringing some young or new agents in from around the country and letting them basically rent a bed in there and work with us for AEP to get a crash course for, AEP, or not even AEP, year round, really, where we teach them how to do what we do. They come here for 2 months at a time. And then it's just a great way to kind of boot camp them in baptism by fire into the industry, and then send them back and build that
fire
up.
hydrant.
So I think Joe Camper would be down if he would have a few years ago before he had kids. So, but you definitely have. That's just something we've talked about. It sounds goofy, but we actually probably are going to do it eventually. Because we've brought some guys in before. Eldrick Gunter's one came in last AEP and worked with us. He was brand new to Medicare, and man, he kicked ass last year. So we've definitely built a little bit of a culture that kind of screams for that, and it's something we're considering. And
yes, it's going to take a special person, like you said, someone without kids, someone without roots, or where they're not tied down to somebody. But if you're that person, I mean,
reach out to us, because if we have the candidate, this is something like just getting into. Somebody wanted us to do a video on if you were starting from scratch to build exactly what you have now, what would you do? And I told Steven, I was like, a lot of where we've gotten to has like, okay, we see this opportunity, let's capitalize on this opportunity. It's not like we planned to be doing this right now. Like we didn't say, we want to be podcasters. We saw the need for it over time, and the need for community in our niche. And so that's how that evolved. But all the different things that we do come from like a desire from a consumer or an agent or anyone that we decide, there's a desire there, we want to fulfill it. So if you think somebody, or you would be somebody that would join the Medicare hype house, let us know, because we would definitely, if we had about 4 or 5 guys that wanted to start it, we'd make it happen. So I want Johnny to come sling some PNC with us redwoods. Yeah, I bet you do. Let's see. I'm bringing the kids, teach them young. Sorry, Pete Fournier.
Me and Johnny were just talking about this last night. I don't think we want anything to do with the PNC.
No, do you? Johnny started off PNC.
Not personally. Like, I don't want to be the one out there
yeah,
riding the PNC business.
We want a PNC side of our business for sure. But I want to hire in someone who's maybe a captive agent or something like that to run that and just use them to cross-sell our book and create those opportunities. Right. I know Joe Camper's going to jump all over us on that, but no, PNC is a different beast for sure. But that is another opportunity if somebody's looking for that opportunity. Joe Camper is somebody to reach out to for sure. When you look at
PNC,
other
AVH bundles.
PNC bundles, worth it. Yeah. So when you look at property, or when you look at other opportunities, we got the T65. We're talking about PNC. We're talking about cross selling. Talking about annuities. But when you just get back into finding the other Medicare beneficiaries, had some people talk about 5-star SCPs. There's tons of different SCPs, but there's also Medigap to Medigap rewrites.
Yep.
I have to constantly remind people that how I started was sending business reply cards that asked what Medicare supplement plan they had right now, and then showing up and rewriting their plans.
MedSup rate shoppers.
Yeah. Yeah, so the MedSup rate shopping is a huge market. 67 to 78, 67 to 80 is a huge block of business. You get into the rural markets, we call them the Civil War South and the Midwest, the Heartland. Those are your huge MedSup markets in Texas, because Texas, they don't identify as one of those two. They're their own thing. So, but when you get into, MedSup rewrites, there's bonuses. They're very loyal clients. They, when we say MedSup shoppers, the thing about a MedSup shopper is they don't really shop all that much. So that's a great line to get into. So Joe's asking a question here. Justin, can y'all talk a bit about acquisitions and what's happening on that side of things? Well, we're in
Gobble, 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 gobble.
gobble. Yeah, I mean, there's such a bright future. Anytime there's an industry with a lot of that's fragmented, and what I mean by fragmented is that the entire distribution is made up by a lot of small businesses. There's going to be private equity groups that want their part of that, and they want to come in and gobble it up. We're in the process of acquiring an agency ourselves. Um, it's a great thing when it works out properly. As far as what do I think about some of the acquisitions that are happening? I think that sometimes, and I don't want to say this, there's several groups that are doing this, but when you have a group who's incentivized to acquire, um, their goal is to acquire as many people as possible. I'm not sure that I think that sometimes they're paying more than they should for certain groups. Sometimes the groups that they're getting and these 100% buyouts don't make sense for them long term. But I don't for a second pretend to know how many pennies are really in the dollar when it comes to acquisition in this market, because $1 to one small business might be worth $1.50 to a very large group that knows how to get more money out of that business. Unfortunately, I think there are a couple of groups that are acquiring so rapidly that they don't really know how to get the value out of what they're buying, or they're not putting enough emphasis on getting the value out of what they're buying as much as they are acquiring it. And I don't know, like I don't really know, and the big ones are Integrity, AmeriLife, Senior Market Sales got gobbled up by a company, and then after that they started gobbling up some smaller companies. There's other private equity groups that are doing some of this. Some of your publicly traded groups like eHealth are doing it. There's carriers that have acquired distribution channels. So.
And I believe there's an agenda to all of it. There's a reason that the acquisitions are taking place. I think it's just positioning for something bigger.
Yeah. And I alluded to that in that I did a Rolling Stone article on why the health insurance market is on fire. And a big part of it is in our belief is, and I believe that they believe this is highly likely, that individual life and health focused agencies stand to poised to greatly benefit from the group market eroding.
Yep.
And that, hundreds of thousands and millions of people coming off of group plans into the ACA and Medicare. Also, I believe, they think there's a high likelihood that Medicare will lower the age, and that's also going to scream more Medicare Advantage, because a lot of those people are already used to ACA plans, and they're more premium averse. So, like some of your younger people, if they go on Medicare, are more likely to want no premium and take on a little bit more out of pocket than buy med subs. So there's just a tremendous amount of money in this industry, and I think a lot of positive outlook on where it's going. You get some of the scare tactic people, and some of them have been in our group, and saying things about Medicare for all. But what we believe is that the trillions of dollars in interest that are tied up, um, behind the individual or B2B insurance market are not going to allow a full blown Medicare for all. Um, so I think it'll be Medicare Advantage for more first, and then maybe 20 years down the line, there might be Medicare Advantage and ACA for all.
Yeah. So I agree. I think a lot of people out there see that coming. Whether it's either one of them things or both of them take place, right? Whether the group market kind of goes away, becomes a bigger health insurance market, or they do allow 50, 55, or a buy-in age or something, a lower age to get into Medicare. Either one of them things take place. If you have thousands of clients
Yeah.
on the books that you can already directly market to and then, build on top of, that's who's going to benefit the most from it.
Yeah. Yeah. We have,
know,
and it's not a client list. It's a relationship. So like even one of the groups that we're looking at acquiring, it's the relationships they have. It's the trust in the brand that their clients have with that brand that we're wanting to buy. A list of people, and even a list of even a block of renewals is not worth as much as a brand. And so I've always taught you guys and anybody that listens to me to brand yourself and your business. And when you brand, and I tell you, like a lot of times, I know I say a lot of times a lot because a lot of times a lot of stuff happens. But when you have a group that you'll have people say, don't put your name in your business. Come up with, okay, I'm Senior Savings Benefits Network of America, or I'm whatever, and I'm not going to put my name in it. We put our name in it, and my dad hasn't been involved in our business in 5 or 6 years, not like directly. And he we put his name behind it and kept it that way. And he hasn't helped a client, like really helped a client in 6 years, and we're doing just fine off of that name. And so some people say, "Oh, you never be able to pull yourself out." Not true at all. You can pull yourself out, but I can tell you what you're not going to have a lot of brand loyalty to is Secure Network of America. Like that's not.
Right.
I'm sorry, guys. It's not going to have.
Well, I still think that there's just a certain portion of the population that want that personal relationship.
Mhm.
There's I think we are continuing to grow where it's okay for them to talk to a call center. But again, there's still a certain amount of people with that mindset that I want to be able to come to your office and look you in the eye when I have a problem or if I have a question.
And I'll tell you the call center, the call center, some of them are great. Some of them are doing really bad jobs though. And so even the people that think, "Oh, I can do that over the phone." How many times do we get conversations that I talked to one of them last year and they really messed me up.
Yeah.
Now they
Now
see
they're
the
coming back.
value
Yeah.
in the brand.
But so I think that local brand will always have value. I don't think it's ever going to go away. If you have your name in the business, right, and you become a brand, and people start recognizing you, you can pull yourself away, just like Justin mentioned. It's that name that they're holding loyal to. They know that when I come to Bobby Brock Insurance, it's people that live in the area and that are familiar with what's going on around here. It's not somebody on the phone that lives 2 states away that's just looking up the network on their computer.
Mhm.
I know that I have agents that have personal experiences with other clients with this plan and this network or whatever the case may
Yeah.
be. So I think it'll always be value in that. And if you work towards that, you're going to have a business that will thrive for a very long time because history repeats itself. And I
Yeah.
think that, like you said, more and more people will start to realize over the next 5 to 10 years that they don't want to be talking to people in call centers. They don't want to be talking to Pakistani agents that are transferring them all over the place. I want to know that I'm calling a local number, I'm calling a local office, and I can go down there and look them in the eye if I have to. I just think that'll always be something that people want.
Well, here's one that killed me. AmeriLife buys Senior Healthcare Direct. Senior Healthcare Direct is Robert Baish's Medicare Bob's company, and they don't have Medicare Bob content going out. Craziness. Like And if you go to Senior Healthcare Direct, they don't even like have Medicare Bob on there. It just says a your Medicare company.
Yeah.
Why? Senior Healthcare, like if I bet if you ask Medicare Bob, and I hope I'm not overstepping my ground here with him, but he's a good friend of mine, and I bet if you asked him what he thought brought in the most business, it wouldn't be the name Senior Healthcare Direct.
It was Medicare Bob, and
Medicare
putting all the
Bob.
consumer focused videos out there as Medicare Bob being the one to train them,
Yeah.
educate them.
And so to not continue that and push it out, I would be having him like make a video a week at least. And when he was there, he was been Rate Watch Wednesday was something he put out. And he would pick like a town like Jefferson, Washington, and he'd 37615 or whatever the zip code was. And he'd throw out, this is the best price plan G, this is the most expensive plan G, and he would show it on CSG. And he would do that every Wednesday. And then he'd have other videos he did. And he did tell me the other day that those old Rate Watch Wednesday videos are pulling traffic because there's just so many of them,
Right. And the information may not still be relevant.
Yeah.
Plans
still
have
pulling
changed,
the
there's been
info.
rate increases, but it's still a lead source. I like what you say all the time. Every video out there, every video you put out there online, it's going to continuously work for you forever.
Yeah.
Right. People are going to continue to watch it forever. And whether that's 5 years from now, 6 years from now, and the information's irrelevant, they're still watching you and consuming you as the personal brand.
Yeah.
And they want to talk to you.
I say it's an unpaid salesperson that works 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Now, is he a great salesperson? Maybe not. Maybe he sells one thing.
Maybe it was a shitty video.
but it's 365 days a year. It's there. If somebody finds it, boom, sold. You didn't pay anything. All you paid was the time that you spent. And I promised that the value's there. So, we'll say here,
Yes.
Joe said, so true, Stephen. People like to do business with people. The digital world is obviously changing, but it's still a personal touch. And Jason said, do you think it's critical for a smaller agent/agency to have a retail location? Critical. I mean, there's a point for it, for sure. That I think that people don't understand the value. Like we saw the evolution of once people knew we had like an office to go to and sit down. There is a huge appetite for that. And I remember one time, Danielle Kunkel's brother David told me. Danielle Kunkel Roberts. I always say Danielle Kunkel. David Kunkel, her brother, told me, "Oh, I'd hate that. They just take forever." It's not. They really don't. Most of them don't take that long. They come in, they sit down, you explain a couple things. I actually, after talking to Bache about how long their agents are having to sit on the phone, I'm like,
we could do it much shorter in person.
oh, it's
I had
so
the same
much
thought when
shorter.
he said that. He said, what, 50 minutes?
50 to 80.
Yeah, 50 to 80 minutes is what he was recommending for a
telephonic
T65 presentation, telephonically all over the phone.
80 was Medicare Advantage, 50 was MedSup.
Yeah.
Or it might have been vice versa.
And I think we can accomplish the same thing in our office in a 20 to 45 minute.
Yeah.
Same.
And get way more cross sales.
Yep.
Because in person it's just easier. I'm very much against I am for getting away from in-home appointments as fast as possible and driving traffic to you. Whether it's telephonic or in person. But so when I tell people and they're like, are you a call center? What do you go to houses? That's not the only two ways to do things, guys. There's this other way where people line up at the door to see you. Now, how do you make that happen? Well, you got to go to a lot of houses and you got to call a lot of people. And then you got to tell them all that you have a location every time. So when Jason asks, is it vital to have a location? Once you have one and you tell everybody it's there all the time, and then it's on Google, you know how many people now, based on the branding that we're doing, Google our exact name? So when you look at our Google Analytics, some people look at our Google Analytics and say, wow, they're getting a lot of, and we are, and it's doing better and better, and we're doing a great job, and our guys are working really hard on it. But we get a lot of them that are Googling us.
Just still organic, yeah.
And I say a lot of them don't even make it to our website because they Google us, Google my business, maps, call. They're using that a lot. And then sometimes they'll use a website to go to the website and scope us out. But that's a huge portion of that traffic.
Just to throw it out there, we do track every Google My Business call that comes in and turn it into a lead.
Yeah. Every Google My Business call is going through Go Guru, turns into a lead. If nobody answers it, it automatically gets texted back, and they're responding to those texts.
And then Johnny has the app on his phone, he gets it and he's immediately calling them back and capturing it.
Yeah.
So
It's a Google My Business listing is alone it's crazy to me. People are like, I know people that have paid handsomely for a website that didn't even set up their Google My Business listing.
yeah, so many people I've come across like that.
So it's crazy. But
If you do have a brick and mortar or retail location, definitely have a Google My Business. You're shooting yourself in the foot if you don't have that.
yeah, we've onboarded a couple of people in the last 2 weeks that we're redoing their website or managing their website for them in house on our
Have
marketing
decent
side.
agencies, good size agencies.
Decent agencies that don't even have Google My Business listings.
No Google My Business. You have to be able to be found online. And and we're not saying go out there and get on Google Ads and pump thousands of dollars into it every day. It's free.
Yeah, set
Go
up a Google
to
My Business free.
business.google.com and set up Google My Business.
Google
It's
wants
free.
you there. They consider them. I mean, it is the biggest phone book and the most useful phone book. I'll tell you guys this: we canceled our yellow pages. They were overcharging for what it is, and I just couldn't see like
When you told me how much they were charging, I laughed and I was like, "Really? Like yellow pages?"
They wanted me on yellow pages to pay for like a full, like a decent size ad. It was like $700 a month or something.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, no. And if you don't pay them, they still put your number in there. It's just a small listing. I was like, you can have that.
You're not in bold.
Yeah, I don't. I'm like, I'm not at all doing this, but but Google will put you in there for free as a My Business Google My Business listing. They don't charge you anything. So I know people that are probably paying for a Yellow Pages listing that don't have a Google My Business. Ridiculous. Old people, which is a subjective term, 65-year-olds, 70-year-olds, 75-year-olds, 80-year-olds, 85-year-olds are Googling your
They have
number.
an iPhone.
Yeah. And a lot of times it's not necessarily that they're going through and finding an agency and reading about Medicare and falling in love with that Medicare agency through Google, but maybe they're Googling you. Maybe their sister said, I used Will Chapman as an agent, and they're Googling Will Chapman insurance, Will Chapman Medicare. And then he should pop up somewhere, which he's going to pop up on our website. But
well, I was just at the office this morning and I was telling the guys that because I was asking them, I said, we've been getting a ton of reviews and we had put some automation in place to increase the amount of reviews. So anybody we wrote a policy on for AEP got a email and then 15 minutes later, they got a text message asking them for a review. But that automation has their agent's name. So if it was Will Chapman that just wrote the policy, hey, Betty, this is Will Chapman. Can you leave a review and let me know how I did? Your feedback goes a long way. Click the link to leave a review. We've got over 150 reviews during AEP just from that. Now, we wrote a lot more policies, so it could have been bigger, but we started out with a little over 100 reviews before AEP. And a lot of them reviews were by agents and other agents, that we've just reached out and said, hey, leave us a review, which it works. It's all good. But just think about when someone Googles the agency and they just say, I'm looking for Medicare help, and 3 of them come up, and one has 250 reviews, 5 stars. The other one has 6, and the other one has, 4 or 5.
You can pretty much bet your ass that if it's under 10 reviews, it's all friends and family.
Yeah. So, I mean, just you personally, which one are you going to call? I'm going to call the one that has, 255 star reviews and 1 star review.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it goes a long way, but I mean, that just plays into the fact that if you do have that Google My Business listing, I mean, utilize the review process. Like we even went so far as to making signs and putting them in the office with a QR code because we wanted the agent to mention to them, hey, leave a review if you can. Are you on Facebook? Are you on Google? Leave us a review. Well, then you would have to get out their phone and kind of go do it all for them. So we just put a QR code there and we had, hey, just scan this. It pulls up straight to the Google review listing. As long as they're signed in, they just start typing the review.
Yeah.
If they weren't signed in, you sign in, then type the review. So it just makes it a little bit easier. But trying to simplify that process because, again, these people, they do have iPhones. They are using the internet. They are learning. They're getting more educated. My 72-year-old grandmother just got an iPhone. She's been using her iPad for probably the last year, but we just convinced her, like, yeah, you're to the point where you understand it enough that you need to go ahead and get the iPhone. And now she's so excited. She can call, she's figuring out stuff every day. So these people, if they don't know how, it's not because they don't necessarily don't want to know how. It's
Yeah.
just because nobody's ever taken the time to show them the technology, and for them, it's all foreign.
You know what's funny is uh, oh, we always make jokes. There's this SNL video. You guys should write it down and watch it later. It's Alexa made for elderly people.
Odessa.
And it responds to any name because they always call it the wrong name, like Odessa, Alexis.
I think it's
eh,
Keenan.
Keenan. It's Keenan from Keenan and not Key and Peele, Keenan and Kale.
Keenan and Kale, yeah.
Keenan and Kale. Anyway, he's on SNL and he says, Odessa, Alexis. But anyway, when we make fun because Jeff the other day was like, hey, we need to make sure when somebody's in this area and they ask for a Medicare agent that we're listed on the Alexa and the Siri thing. And I got to thinking about it. It's like, if you give an elderly person, I hate to see elderly. I do hate using the words. Like when I think elderly, I think like 85, 90. But when you take somebody that's 75, 80 years old and you're giving them an iPhone for the first time and they've never had one or didn't know how to use it, honestly, one of the easiest things to teach them how to do is just tell Siri to do something. Because now they don't have to go tapping and looking for it and confused. They can just say, hey, Siri, and so anyway, or they can say, Odessa, Alexis,
Find me a Medicare agent.
Find me a Medicare agent. But you need to make sure like that's a next step thing to make sure you're on these things, but be findable as many places as possible. A really funny thing, Nolan Meister moved here last year, started working with us. And I don't know what he had put online, but he put something online and somehow in Vegas, if somebody said told Siri to call Medicare, it had his number listed.
They would call him. Like we would literally be sitting there and he would get a call and he would answer it and they'd be like, is this Medicare?
Yeah.
And he was like,
he said, I'm a Medicare agent.
I'm a Medicare agent.
I'm a Medicare insurance agent. And then they'd start talking to him about it. But he never told him he was Medicare. He just said, I'm a Medicare insurance agent. And they
and he said it was just one random place he had put a listing out or somewhere online that was giving him this huge lead source.
Yeah. So, and you gave that to me, I could have converted more of them than Nolan probably, but I'm just playing. If Nolan's watching, we love you. Joe, we need to do better about reviews. Yeah, it's something we definitely all
review
we did not do a good job at it forever. We were terrible at it. I'm like, man, we have all these customers. We don't have this many reviews. And then Steven set this automation up this fall. And I'm like, I'm getting Google My Business and Facebook reviews like daily now. And I'm like, this is awesome, but we're not doing really anything. Automation.
At one point, Justin, I think he texted me. He was like, is it the automation or do you think the agents are asking, them to leave reviews? And I was like, I think it's a combination of them mentioning it during the meeting and then they leave and 15, 20 minutes later, they're getting a text message asking for that same review.
Because we did start kind of trying to incentivize the reviews, and I still actually have to go back and tally it up because we're paying like $5 or $10 per review that somebody gets that mentions their name. And we got a bunch. I mean, they were mentioning their names like crazy.
Yeah, because reputation management. I mean, there's whole businesses out there that just claim to help your reputation management. It's kind of doing the same thing. We've done all that within the GoGuru platform. So if you have another CRM, which we do, we use Agency Block as our primary CRM, but I've got it set up where it's talking to GoGuru. And like I said, every policy entered into the CRM goes into GoGuru, sends them an email, text message. But that reputation management system, it comes included in there. But like I said, people pay premiums every month for that type of software. And the way I've got it set up is when they click the link, it'll ask them, select your preferred platform. And that has Google and Facebook because we want reviews on both of them. Mm-hmm. Facebook, it helps a lot more because I think more of that person's social, their warm market, I guess, sees it, because it'll say, Joe Smith recommends Bobby Brock Insurance. Yeah. And so it doesn't give them the whole 5-star and write a whole review, but they can recommend you. And then it's like shared on your feed.
Well, and we run Facebook ads too. And I just like, when we run Facebook ads, I know a lot of people preach doing like the incognito pages, to create like Facebook ads. And I'm just not a big fan of it because I think there's this long-term effect of when I run ads from my actual Facebook page, even if maybe it costs me $1 or 2 more for leads, I'm also getting all these impressions of my name brand in their face. And then when they go back to my page and scope it out, like if they go and scope somebody's out and it's, Boo Boo Kitty Medicare specialist or, I don't want to use anybody's actual name, but I'm thinking of some. When I see like somebody's that just says, Medicare expert forum or something, and it's just a fake one and it's like a picture of, or sometimes it'll be like Georgia senior specialists, and then it'll be like a picture of Georgia, and they're just using it to run Facebook ads. And then when you go to their page, it's like 16 people like it, and there's no posts or anything. Like, I think that it's like trickery to think that a lot of the people that are going and scoping it out, there's no way they're submitting anything. But how many people on mine go to my page and then maybe convert through that medium because they're like, oh, this is a great insurance agency, or maybe they don't, but they saw me there, they scoped it out. There's some reviews. I don't really need help with that later. Now they see my TV commercial. Now they see. Now they're Googling Medicare later on, and guess what? I come up with John Stamos Insurance, Medicare of Mississippi, and Bobby Brock Insurance. And they're like, you know what? I went to Bobby Brock Insurance's Facebook page and saw their ad. They had a bunch of good reviews. Oh, they got more reviews here. This must be a good one. It's all this long-term, like compounding crosshairs of being in people's faces that we just don't, really give enough credit to. And we do, but we've seen it long-term. Even when we didn't maybe even understand all of what we were doing, we've seen the compounding effect of not viewing marketing as transactional, not viewing marketing as I got to put out X dollar and get back X dollar, and I know that there's CPA and CPL and all that, and you do have to turn a profit for sure. You have to turn a profit.
The way you have to look at it is if you spent money to get your logo, your brand, your face in front of somebody, as long as people seen it, it was good money spent.
Yeah.
As long as people seen it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I'll give you a couple more tips on the now what side of this title. Now what, definitely get out there and cross sell your book. One thing that we've done really well this last year is we put our agent force, our inside sales teams on servicing our book. And we had a lot of Medicare supplement business. And that's also where a lot of the Medicare Advantage prospects came from AEP, by the way. We're talking to them and, hey, they can't get their MedSup rate down. Now their MedSup's $390 a month. Maybe it makes sense for them to look at a Medicare Advantage plan now. But also, we cross-sold so many of them because, you call them and you save them $50 because their MedSup's gone up, and you can sell them a $30 cancer policy.
I was just going to say, the guy that had the highest ancillary sales in our office was just calling and doing rewrites all year.
Yeah, our number
he started in June 1st was his first day.
Yeah, started in
but he wrote the most.
Was it Jackson or Holt? Oh, it was Holt. Yeah, Holt started. So Jackson actually had our most MedSup business, and we started him too, servicing books and rewriting. But then the number our award winner for most ancillary premium and applications was Holt Rushing. And
his first year as an agent.
Started June 1st. And for the entire year had the most ancillary. And all we did is initially say, here's our current clients. Here's our current clients. Just go through and service them. And I'm not talking about churning them, like calling up time to rewrite your supplement. That's not what we're doing. We're just calling them, servicing them. Yeah, my premium sucks. It's high. Is there anything I can do about it? Hey, we can get you this plan G right here. And I can get you their, this is an Aetna plan G, and we can get you their cancer policy with it, which means you have the exact coverage you have plus the additional cancer benefit and still save you $20 a month. And he would do that all day long. And then sometimes it'd be dental, vision, and hearing, but mostly he sold a lot of cancer.
Yeah, lots of cancer. He was on the Aetna list too.
Last month he was number 2 on the Aetna cancer. He's already been on the Aetna cancer list a few times this year. But you wait, I believe next year and he won the Bankers Fidelity cancer trip to London.
Yeah, that's
so right. He's not even just writing one carrier, he's writing 2 cancer carriers and submitting quality with both of them. So, but you wait till he has a whole damn year. I mean, this guy won the London trip, started in June. So, but all he was doing was, servicing book, rewriting, a med sup to save somebody money and cross selling with the difference. So think about that. And those cancer premium can really add up. Dental premium can really add up. Final expense premium can really add up. Jackson Taylor has been doing a really good job at that, cross selling final expense premium.
Yeah, he was right there with him. He was right there with Holt.
Last month he was number 4 or 5, 3 or 4.
They were both on the list. I think he was 3 or 4
for Aetna final expense salesman. So if you didn't know, we like Aetna. We love Aetna. We love all our carriers. We love Bankers Fidelity. Ryan McMillan over there is great. But also, I mean, just another point, spend this time, this other time strengthening your relationships with your carrier partners. We've had carrier representatives refer us agents. We've had them refer us business, and then they also help us put out fires. But we had one downline agent that I was being CC'd on an email chain, and he was just berating them over something they did, and I don't know if they were in the wrong or not. I don't really, but it doesn't matter. Like, I mean, they have power, and they have the power to help you and to influence people and to advocate on your behalf. And you're never going to win them over by berating them. It'd be like calling up a client to me and saying, "Are you some kind of idiot? You're not going to buy this supplement for me after wasting my time?" What do you think is going to be the outcome of that call? And I saw a guy doing that to a carrier rep, and I just stayed silent on it. And I talked to her offline. And I'm like, "I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you." And coincidentally, the guy writes almost no business. So, not a great look. Not a great look.
If you're going to be an ass, at least write a lot of business.
At least write a lot of business. They will put up with a little more, BS from you if you write a lot of business. But if you're not putting your money where your mouth is, or putting, or walking the walk as well as talking the talk, then people are going to just be like, "Hey, get out of here, man." I mean, I've had carriers that have called me and asked me about an agent. There's another agent who's a missionary and supposed to be like this real godly guy. And I've had 2 carriers call me and ask if they could terminate him. And he writes very little business because he's called just yelling at him and screaming at him.
And you're like, well, if he was that big of a dick, then sure.
Yeah, I'm honestly, I mean, somebody had to be writing quite a bit of business for me to even want to, keep him around. And even then, there's a point where it's just not worth it. So, but anyway, guys, I hope this is helpful. I hope you guys have a super Merry Christmas, great remainder of your year, operating and taking care of clients, cross-selling, utilizing these SCPs, attacking the turning 65
Enjoy
market.
that vacation, Jason Dennison.
Enjoy your vacation, Jason Dennison. Anybody else is taking some time off, I'm not going to give you any flack. We're going to go to New Orleans over New Year's ourselves.
Yeah. We did talk that, but he is going to New Orleans. So,
but I have a whole team. I'm going to go to New Orleans for a few days. And then we were talking about going to New York for a few days before Christmas, but I will be here during Christmas. I will be back. I think the most important time to be back, by the way, is by January 3rd, you need to be back, because that's when you start getting some of those. I don't have my cards calls. But hope you guys have a great Christmas.
And New Year's is a Saturday this year, right?
Yep. So you should be able to be home
by the 3rd.
No problem. So yeah, we will be. I think we're actually going to drive back on the 1st or 2nd.
Because the good thing about January is now you have customer service because you wrote a lot of policies.
That's right. If you had a great AEP, and if you didn't have a great AEP, then you really don't need to go on vacation because you're broke.
So I seen someone post in the group the other day. They were asking, like, do you reward yourself with anything? I think it was Chris Sheridan that asked or something, but he was like, yeah, I buy a pistol, for myself. And there were some other people that buy some things, but
you saw what I put.
I didn't.
I put that thing with them big old wheels I got. A brand new Igloo cooler.
Rewarded himself with an Igloo cooler.
Yeah. I put it in the back of my brand new GMC Sierra 6-inch lifted truck.
Yeah, that thing wasn't.
I won't count that.
Yeah.
No. But yeah, no, definitely. I do
reward
like
yourself.
ourselves.
Everybody needs a little bit of reward, especially like I said, if you grinded it out day in, day out throughout the entire AEP, then
and
do take a break. Do reward yourself.
And if you had a good good one, then you should make plenty of money to get a Medicare Con ticket at MedicareCon.com. If you didn't have a good one, you need to scrounge and find some money for a Medicare Con ticket, because you're gonna have to come to Medicare Con so you can figure out how
April 21st, 22nd, 23rd.
to have a better AEP next year and a better year. We're going to be really bringing the lightning and the thunder there, man. I mean, it is a substance based event. There's no, look, I love a good cry as much as the next guy, but if anybody cries on stage there, I'm going to kick them in the nuts, because that's not the goal. The goal is to deliver value and information that you can use, that's practical. We like to have a good time, just like
we
everybody
appreciate
else.
all the other events as well, but we want to separate ours as being the Medicare focused event that people are taking away information from, and it's directly impacting their business.
Yeah, I want you to have a tip that comes from that thing. I want you to have so many tips you have to zone in on one or two, because they'll strip your focus away from being able to really put your attention on something. Find something that fits what you want to do, your business, your geographic location, all that, and then really dive in. Not just an inch deep and an inch wide, but a mile deep and a mile wide, building out a business based on relevant factors. That's the idea. It's not so practical that it's boring. We want to have a great time. We are going to have a great time, but we are going to put real information out there. So definitely check out MedicareCon.com. Be there April 1 through April 21 through 23rd. And also, if you're interested in coming to one of our more kind of exclusive behind the agency events, we have one coming up in February. We do have some seats available.
We've opened that up. Website's live. You can check out on it.
Yeah. Or you can email me at justin@msgap.net. That's Justin at MS, like Mississippi, Gap, GAP, like the clothing store.net. Come on over, email me, and I'll call you and we'll talk about it. That is definitely a deep dive. You do not have to be an agency owner to benefit from it. But if you are an agency owner, you'll benefit even more from it, for sure.
It'll show you how to scale.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's people that come to that know a lot. And this is the thing, like, sometimes people think, well, I'm already here. I'm not going to benefit from that. I have seen we've had people come that may even have revenue that rivals ours, that have still learned something. Because you can learn, I learn things from individual agents all the time.
I learned so much from a lot of the people that came to some of our behind the agency events last year.
And if nothing else, great networking opportunity at Medicare Con or behind the agency. Behind the agency is just more intimate. I mean, it's 15 to 20 people, mixing with our team and just learning and pulling. I mean, basically, we're an open book at that thing. Anything you want to know, we'll show you. Medicare Con, we try to be as open as possible, but there's definitely a lot of value. I have most people that are going to behind the agency are also going to Medicare Con. That's just a commonplace thing. So, but definitely check it out. If you have any questions of how we can help you, how you can get more involved, please reach out to me as well on Facebook, any medium. Please subscribe to this channel. Please like our Facebook lives. We want to do more of these lives because they are engaging, and we definitely want to get quality information out to you guys. So thank you so much for watching, and please check out the audio version of this on our podcast platform on Apple Podcasts.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.